Zion go ministries way. Hey, Zion go ministries way.
Hello, Zion family and friends. Thank you for connecting with us in our Bible study. We're continuing on with our study of the book of Ruth. And today we're going to focus on chapter 3 of Ruth. I'll begin at verse 1. Then Naomi, her mother-in-law, said to her, "My daughter, shall I not seek security for you, that it may be well with you?" Now Boaz, whose young women you were with, is he not your relative? In fact, he is winnowing barley tonight at the threshing floor. Therefore, wash yourself and anoint yourself. Put on your best garment and go down to the threshing floor. But do not make yourself known to the man until he is finished eating and drinking. Then it shall be, when he lies down, that you shall notice the place where he lies, and you shall go in, uncover his feet, and lie down, and he will tell you what you should do. And she said to her, "All that you say to me, I will do." Let me read it on further. So she went down to the threshing floor and did according to all that her mother-in-law instructed her. And after Boaz had eaten and drunk, and his heart was cheerful, he went to lie down at the end of the heap of grain. And she came softly, uncovered his feet, and lay down. Now it happened at midnight that the man was startled and turned himself, and there a woman was lying at his feet. And he said, "Who are you?" So she answered, "I am Ruth, your handmaid servant. Take your maidservant under your wing, for you are a close relative." All right, it's a lot going on in this particular chapter, and I'm going to need you to brace yourself. So Naomi gives instructions to Ruth in regards to Boaz, her redeemer, and she first says to her, "Go down to the threshing floor, wash yourself, anoint yourself, put on your best garment." And we covered that in our last study. And here she says, "Go to the threshing floor, but I want you to remain in the shadows unnoticed until all the work is finished. And then, and only then, when Boaz has eaten and drank and he's laid down to rest for the night, then Ruth, what I want you to do is lay crosswise at his feet and just be still. Don't say anything and wait until he notices you." Now, I'm going to need you to fix your face, because I know that you are contorted like a pretzel right now, and you're reading into this situation and asking yourself the question, saying to yourself, why is Naomi giving ungodly advice to Ruth, who is seen by everybody in the community as a virtuous woman? Your question is, why is she advising this young lady to act in a wretched manner? The problem with your view is that you're looking at this from our Western culture, our Western perspective. And we have to look at this now from a Hebraic perspective. So in the ancient prized law, I want you to know that it was customary for a woman to lie crosswise at the feet of the Redeemer and wait for him to move. And so we can't interject stuff in our mind that this was inappropriate. Okay. Now, the other thing that you might be thinking of that you having some problems with is why does Naomi advise Ruth to act in such a desperate way? Again, you're looking through the lens of our Western culture and perhaps even through the lens of 2021, where in your mind, this should be an independent individual that doesn't have to rely on anyone to help her. Well, again, it was customary for a person who was in need of a redeemer to lie at the feet of that redeemer and wait for him to act. So, in other words, if you had moved, if you were in that situation and moved on your perspective, you probably would have circumvented God's plan for your life at that particular time. Naomi advises Ruth to do something that we all have a problem with, and that is waiting. Hear this word out of Psalms 41. You know this. You know this. It's powerful. It says, I waited patiently for the Lord. I waited how? Patiently for the Lord. And he inclined to me. He heard my cry. And he also brought me up out of a horrible pit, out of the miry clay, and set my feet upon a rock. He established my steps. And he has put, oh wow, didn't catch this in my study. He has put a new song in my mouth. Praise to our God. Many will see it and fear, and I will trust in the Lord. So here's Ruth now. What is she doing? She's waiting. She's waiting on Boaz to notice her, just as her mother-in-law said that he would. And when he does, he doesn't ask her, what are you doing? You know what he asks her? Who are you? And she says, I am Ruth. And at the revelation of her name, she is met with the very thing that she desired. It reminds me of Brother Jacob when he was on the run from his brother Esau, and he meets an angel out there in the desert. And he begins to wrestle. And the angel asked him, what's his name? And he says, my name is Jacob. The revelation of his name means trickster. And when he exposes his real character, it's at that point that the strength of his nature, there it is broken, and God is able to bless him. The point that I'm trying to make here is when we expose to our Redeemer, Jesus Christ, our true nature of who we are, after we have waited, that's when he will meet us with a blessing. So the angel touches Jacob's thigh. There's something that's broken in him, but at the same time, he's blessed. Ruth shares her name. She says, I'm Ruth. And in effect, she was saying, I'm a widow. I am broken. I'm broke. Everything around me is breaking. And I need a redeemer. And at that point, also, she says something to him. She says, take your maidservant under your wing. And he said, blessed are you, my daughter, for you have shown more kindness in the end than you have in the beginning. And she makes this request of him that's kind of hard for us, again, from our Western perspective to understand. She asked him to take his skirt and cover her. Now, again, get your mind right, because with that, it was symbolic of an individual saying, I'm going to cover you. It was symbolic of an individual saying, I'm committed to be in covenant with you. So what I have is yours. Let me read a scripture for you that really nails that. It's in Ezekiel 16 and 8. It says, when I passed by you again and looked upon you, indeed your time was a time of love. So Ezekiel now is speaking in the voice of God. Get what he says in this next line. So I spread my wing over you and covered your nakedness. Yes, I swore an oath to you and entered into a covenant with you, and you became mine, says the Lord. That is so powerful. We can get a lesson from this because Ruth is, in effect, a type of every servant of God that needs a redeemer. And we go to our redeemer and we say to him openly and honestly, I'm broken, I'm broke, I'm busted, and everything around me is breaking. I need your covering. My future looks bleak. And unless you cover me in my desperation, I cannot make it. And at that point, our Redeemer, who's made a covenant with us to be with us to the end of time, covers us and he protects us. Well, how did this whole situation end up for Ruth? It really is beautiful. Because Boaz does this. He says, you know, I'm glad that you're here, in effect. And I'm glad of all of the other men that you could have placed your eyes on. You didn't. You looked at me. And so I'm going to do my part to honor you. I'm going to take care of you. And with that, I got to thinking, and I put on my director's hat and my producer's hat, and I was thinking just this morning, if I had an opportunity to frame this on stage, this thing, how would it be when he wakes up in the morning and there's this beautiful woman at his feet? She reveals who he is. And he obviously adores her. And you see this expression on his face. I would at that point have him to sing a song. You know what I would have him to sing? I would have him to sing a song by Sam Cooke. Let me read to you the second verse. It says, "At first I thought it was infatuation, but whoa, it lasted so long. Now I find myself wanting to marry you and take you home. Whoa, you send me." Yeah, you got it. And after he sings his song, you know what? I would then have Ruth to sing back to him. You know what I would have her to sing? I'll give you the lyrics. "Looking out on the morning rain, I used to feel so uninspired. And when I knew I had to face another day, Lord, it made me feel so tired. Before the day I met you, life was so unkind. But you're the key to my peace of mind. 'Cause you make me feel like a natural woman." I know you say that, Pastor P, is crazy. But that's what I'm seeing in that scene. And my God, I can hear those French horns going up, and she gets to the crescendo of that song, and there's a crescendo in that scene. But then there's this interruption in that scene, you know, where he says, now, as they look tenderly at one another, he says, "There's one other thing that I got to do. There is a near kinsman to you that's closer than I am. And by law, I got to handle some things with him to see if he wants to take care of you." And at that moment, it's you could see this disappointment coming on her face, and it's like her hopes are slipping through her fingers, like saying, and he says, "But I'm gonna handle this. I got you. Don't worry. I got you. I'm gonna handle it. I'm going to talk with him, and it's all gonna be good." And then he says to her, "Lie down until the morning. Just go and rest. It's gonna be okay. Just lie down until the morning." And listen, she lies down, and in my sanctified imagination, she's got tears streaming down, but they're tears of joy. They're tears of joy because she's grateful that he is interested and has consented to take care of her. And they're tears of joy as she begins to think about the anticipated wedding day. And then another song came to my mind, and God began to move with this in a supernatural way, y'all. That song is "I Don't Mind Waiting" by Juanita Bynum. And my God, when I played it, I couldn't believe what happened. I never noticed that the song modulates. So I'm imagining Ruth just thinking of this and saying to herself, you know, I hope and pray that everything goes well in his discussion with this other guy, this Redeemer. I hope it goes in a direction that he doesn't want to take care of me. But Boaz is my guy. I hope things go there. And she says to herself again and again, I don't mind waiting. I don't mind waiting. I don't mind waiting. And as I'm listening to this song, you know, we're not supposed to swear, but I swear to you, as the song modulated at that particular moment, when it modulates about the third time, do you know my clock chimed on the hour? And what I got from that, what the Spirit was saying to me, is that in every hour of that morning, the wee hours of that morning that she waited, when it got to another hour, her hopes did not diminish. It accelerated. It went up and up and up and up until, boom, you hear this symphonic sound of angels chiming in with her, that there's a blessing in waiting for the Lord. So the next morning she gets up, and I'm going to fast forward, and she goes and she tells her mother-in-law what happened. And this is for you. This is for you. Her mother-in-law says this: sit still, my daughter, until you know how the matter will turn out. For the man would not rest until he has concluded the matter this day. And I want to say this to you: for whatever you're dealing with, I want you to find your rest, your place in God, and hear these words as you listen to this song. I don't mind waiting on the Lord. Listen, sit still, my friend, until you know the matter will turn out. You will know how the matter will turn out. And get this, for God will not rest. I'm saying this. God will not rest until he has concluded the matter of this day. In other words, the blessing that he has already preordained for your life, heaven will not rest until it comes to pass. Shalom.
Come on, Gerard, help me say